You're welcome, America.
Good morning, evening, or afternoon, whatever time it is, whatever you're doing. I hope you're having a good day. I hope that's not what this video is about. This video is about Maine soldiers, Maine Civil War soldiers that have distinguished themselves. Maine soldiers, whether volunteer, whether in the Civil War, whatever conflict, you can always tell a Maine soldier, A, by our accent, and B, how we conduct ourselves, how we do things. We may not like what we're doing, but we're going to do it. But we're going to do it with attitude. We're going to do it our own way, and we're going to figure it out. If we're not in charge, we're going to find a way to get in charge. We're going to find a way to lead. But this video, there's some amazing soldiers, a couple Medal of Honor winners. Of course, I'm going to do Joshua Chamberlain because you think Civil War, you think Joshua Chamberlain. I mean, I'm going to cover the 20th Maine. I'm going to cover the 16th Maine. I learned about them through doing my research, or not really research. I volunteer at the local historical society for a class project that I needed to do. And I just saw so many letters written to soldiers during the Civil War. And that's kind of what prompted me to look into them, look into these soldiers. I mean, I knew about the 20th Maine. I love Gettysburg. I love going to Gettysburg. Like when I go there, when I go to the Little Round Top, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm from Maine, but when I go to the Little Round Top, I feel a connection. There's definitely a connection there for me. I mean, it's almost, I won't say breathtaking and get all dramatic, but there's a silence when I go there. It's a weird feeling. Feel the same way. If you've been to Gettysburg, leave a comment. My last request is go to Operation Reboot, their YouTube channel. Their website, check them out. Subscribe if you'd like. Great channel for veterans. I love helping other veterans. Not only do I know the owners, or I went to high school with the owners, they're great people. Dan's a veteran also. We're both infantry guys, so subscribe. Mainly dig out. So if you're going to talk about Civil War in Maine, this guy's name will always come up. Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. He is a Medal of Honor recipient from the Civil War for his actions on the Little Round Top and his bayonet charge, repelling the Confederate forces from attacking or taking over the Little Round Top. He is the man, the myth, and the legend. And if I cannot talk about the Civil War or any great Civil War soldier from Maine and not have this guy at number one. He was well known for the Little Round Top at Gettysburg, but he was in multiple different battles. He was injured at the Second Battle of Petersburg. He was vitally, he was on death's bed, and he was given a promotion, a deathbed promotion, but he still survived. He lived with that wound the rest of his life, and he continued fighting. Amazing. Like he had a catheter, like not like a plastic catheter, but a catheter that he made that was made out of metal. Like a 19th century torture catheter. The horrible injury. He still lived through it for decades. Chamberlain was the governor of Maine for 4 years and then became the president of Bowdoin College, where he was an alumni from. Chamberlain was a badass. Not only did he live with this injury that he had, but there's a story of these group of individuals who were going to tear up the Maine Constitution, which he was not about to let happen. So in his Civil War uniform and with a pistol, he just stepped out in front of them before they entered the Maine Capitol building, and they obviously didn't go forward with it. I don't know what words were said, but he stopped them. This elderly old man in a Civil War uniform with a pistol loaded stopped him. Thomas Chamberlain is obviously Joshua Chamberlain's brother, was at his side all throughout the war, and is, besides the surgeon that was there, is the reason why Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain survived his wound. Despite Thomas's war record, he didn't get the notoriety of his brother. He after the war, he bounced around from job to job and became a raging alcoholic. And it's two sides to soldiers. One can be very effective in the world, and the other one has a hard time getting along. This is an older picture of Obner O. Shaw. Hopefully I got his name right. At the siege of Petersburg, Chamberlain had been shot through the hip. The bullet pierced Chamberlain's bladder. Because Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain had been placed on another unit and led the charge, he was not in charge of the 20th Maine. Thomas Chamberlain found Shaw and brought him to his brother. Shaw was a surgeon by trade, so he fixed the wound, but Joshua Chamberlain had to use this metal catheter the rest of his life, eventually dying of the wound decades later. But this catheter does not look, I wouldn't want to use this catheter. It looks painful. This is Charles W. Tilden. Chamberlain was the hero of Gettysburg, but this guy deserves a mention. Charles W. Tilden definitely deserves a mention. He was a leader of he commanded the 16th Maine at Gettysburg. Tilden was ordered to hold the line for the collapsing Union Army as the Confederate forces moved forward, which pretty much was a death order, a suicide order. He didn't enjoy this. He didn't like it very much, but he did it anyway. The story goes is he after receiving the order, he rode to his line where his men were, told them what was going on, and turned around, flipped the commanding officer who gave him that order off. Then his horse got shot out from under him. In response to this, he ordered fixed bayonets, and he charged the Confederate line. With 270 soldiers, he charged the Confederate lines just out of anger. This is a Maine soldier. He epitomizes every Maine soldier that I've pretty much known, including myself. I will do it. Even though I don't like it, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it in my fashion. I don't know if that story is true or not, but what I do know is before they were captured, the 16th Maine tore up their flag, and every soldier from the 16th Maine had a piece of their standard with them. That way, the Confederate forces could not capture their standard and take it back to Richmond. Also, what is known is before he was captured, Tilden took his sword and broke it over his knee, so they could not have his sword. So even in surrender, he pretty much told everybody to, go F themselves. So they captured Tilden, sent him to I forgot what prison camp they sent him to, but it was pretty much Max. He escaped that and rejoined the force, or rejoined the Union force and started fighting again. Incredible story, an incredible Mainer. This is Oliver Otis Howard, also received the Medal of Honor. I couldn't find the details of that action, but he did lose an arm. This is a memorial to him at Gettysburg. He did receive a setback or defeat at Gettysburg, but went on to serve in the Union Army and after the Civil War. This is a long list of engagements that he was in, to include from the Civil War and after. This is Hiram Burnham. He was in the Aroostook County militia for a long time before the Civil War. Aroostook County is way up north. It's far up north. Anyway, he was the commander of the 6th Maine Light Infantry Division. He died at the Battle of Chaffin's Farm. He was shot in the intestines and a very painful death. While in Aroostook County, he was the coroner, lumberman, and county commissioner. Lumbermen in those days had a hard life. Living in Aroostook County was hard anyway. He was a part of the Aroostook County War. That's an interesting read. Go read that or research that. This ends my video. I love Civil War and I love research and I love historical research. This was a very fun video to research, especially I love Maine and Maine history. As a young child in high school or before, elementary school, we were taught all this stuff about Civil War and Chamberlain and Gettysburg. But there's so much about Gettysburg and the Civil War that's not told, just because there's a huge battle, a huge war that is not easy to describe. It's not easy to teach kids about a traumatic event such as the Civil War or any war. I love doing these videos because it brings the personalities. It brings the individual from out of the war, and I get to research and look into these people. I mean, we clump everything together when it comes to history and war and all these historical events. But once you break down the people, you can break down the events, and that to me is interesting. You forget history by not teaching it. You don't teach history, or you allow history to be taught the wrong way, and it gets used for other purposes. I'm done preaching, mainly dig out. I hope you're doing well. I hope you do well. I'm out.